Have you ever wondered what games you should keep or you should lose? Find out here at Purge View.
Gem Hens is this abstract game about getting an egg, and you have these roosters moving around, and they're scratching it, and the components are so small and tiny. The board is anyway, and the components you're playing with is not. The whole game is bizarre. I don't even understand how this got made. I don't understand how. Not the game itself. Let's just talk about the theme. I don't understand this theme got made. Somebody somewhere thought this was a great idea. Somebody somewhere thought this would sell. This idea of these eggs and putting these gems down. I guess it's kind of neat. But I look at some of these themes I see on games, and I'm just like, wow. Somebody somewhere has to be there and say, no, this doesn't make it. This is not going to sell. And I get everything can't be fantasy. I get that everything can't be, Star Wars or whatever sells. Whatever. Zombies. But this rooster thing with these chickens moving around, these hens or whatever, and you get these gems, and you're making this gem hen. I don't know, guys. This is the kind of thing I'm just like, I put my hands up and I'm like, okay, not for me. But what about the game itself? It's okay. I mean, you're scratching around. The board's really way too small. It doesn't feel as epic as it should. It's a little abstract game. What you're doing matters, I guess. It's fine if you like this sort of thing. Sometimes I think games are released just because they need a game to release. Do people like Gem Hens? Is this something that people were clamoring for? I wonder. So, I'm going to try to push myself here. What do I like about this game? Components. Other than the board being a little small, everything looks really nice. It's really great. Gray Fox is a great... The game works. It works. Whether a game is fun or not, you still want it to work. And this game works. It's very abstract, and what you're doing is interesting, I guess. It's fine. It's a fine game, but I don't think it's something you're going to want to run out and get. I don't think it's just like, oh man, I got to kickstart Gem Hens because it's going to be fantastic. Absolute Purge. I don't think you need to go back and play this one. I hate to be so negative on it because I'm such a fan of Gray Fox, and I bought this. It was a very reasonably priced game. Very reasonably priced. Did I get my money's worth? Absolutely. Sometimes you pay $100 for a game and you just feel really ripped off. This is not one of those games. I wanted it to be more. I wanted it to be different, and it didn't land for me. I don't know what I was wanting, but it wasn't this. Purge for me. Here's Gem Hens by Sloth Games. I got mine from Gray Fox Games. I don't know what's going on with that. Here is the rule book, which we'll take a look at in a few minutes. Here are the components. This is going to be your board. It's going to be a very small board for what you're trying to accomplish. My biggest complaint about the components is going to be the board itself. It's very small. This could have been 2 or 3 times bigger than it is. You're going to get some neat things in here. Everybody's going to be a farmer pond, some dice. The dice are a little bit small. Not great, but there are a lot of them in here. And everybody's going to get one of these chicken ponds, which is really, really neat. Those tend to be favorites of my children. You're going to have what they call an egg timer, even though it's not shaped like an egg. You're going to get a number. Let's see. We got some cards here. These will be for the variant if you want the special powers. You can use these. I'll show you these more in the flow of the game, but know that they exist. And you're going to have a number of these gems. These are little plastic gems. These are really cool looking. I think they look great on the board. The bag is pretty good. I can get my fingers down in there, but I can't get my hands down in there. And then everybody's going to have one of these player boards that will be utilized to tell you that your actions are going to be doing, how the scoring works, and everybody will have their own egg that they'll be placing gems on. These are fairly nice. I don't have any problems with these. These are very good quality, very good cardboard. Not a custom insert, just a box, so that's a little bit of a letdown there. So the rulebook's going to be one of those big square rulebooks. Got a picture from the base game. There is a QR code for the rules if you want to learn it that way. You're going to have the components over here with plenty of pictures. Great. Setup is very good. You got pictures including that, full color as you can tell. Gameplay right here. This is how you play the game right here, and then you're going to have more detail as you go through. Game is very simple. There's some examples that are included, which is a big plus. The end of the round and how to score the game. Then on the back, here you're going to have the optional advanced rules if you want to do the abilities that you have, each one laid out with how they work. And then you have the fighting that can go on here if you want to add that in. I found the rulebook to be very good. You're probably going to need about 15 minutes to sit down with this rulebook. I think it helps to get the pieces out and start pushing them around. So I'm just going to do a quick overview of this game. I'm not teaching you all the rules by any means. You will have the farmer that will go out, very overproduced, but very nice. And he will be up here. So based on number of players, playing 3 players in 3 rounds. So he'll go here for the first round. He's a little bit too big for the space. I would he's just too big. That's just the truth of it. So in the 4-player game, you'd have 3 dice. In this one, you would have 2 dice, etc. Then you would take those white dice and you would roll them out based on the number of players. Let's say we had 4 players. You would roll 3 of these dice. And these dice would go out here on these spaces. So 2 there. Then you would take the other dice that are available and you would put them at the bottom here. Weird. That's weird how that worked out. And then you would draw from the bag and you would put a gem at every spot that these correspond. So there are, they correspond here. We have 2 that will go out here. It's just weird how this kind of worked out. And 2 will go out here. So everywhere they would crisscross is where you would put the gems out on the board. Then the white dice will be removed until next round, and you'll do that again next round, but you'll be using less and less dice as the game goes on. So you're going to set the main board aside for right now, because now everything is going to happen on this one right here. And you're going to have the egg timer, which will be turned over, and then players will roll their dice as quickly as they want, and when you roll something, you can put the dice there, and you can just continue to real time. You don't have to place any dice. You have until the timer runs out to kind of place them wherever you want them to be. Now, all the players will be doing this simultaneously, and you can put as many dice as you want or as few as you want until you're done. You only have until the timer runs out. After doing this, then you're going to come back to the board and you're going to spin your dice. So what do these dice do? If you have a 1, you can move 1 space, a 2 can move 2 space, and 3 would be 3 space. That's very easy. You're just going to move your chicken around. So if I were here, I wanted to move 3 spaces, I have to move all 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3. You must. If I land on a space with gems, or these green gems, I can pick these up. I'll show you what happens to these in just a moment, but just know that if I land on a space, I can do that. If somebody's in my way, I'm going to put these down so you can see, I can spend an additional die and kind of shove him that many spaces out of the way. So you can move people, but remember, if you move them into the gems, they're going to pick them up. The 4s and 5s allows you to scratch whatever position you're on. So if I wanted to spin this, for example, I could place this 4 out here, and then what I would do is I would, anything that intersects with the dice is already out. So there's 2 5s from the farmer dice, and there's 1 3, so I could put one of those out. So then I have a 5, and I don't have to put it on the 4 or the 5. I can put it anywhere I want. So say I wanted to put it on the 2. Well, I could do that, and I can put that anywhere that it would intersect here. And I wanted to do the 4, and then there's 2 on the 5. So whatever the numbers are, you don't have to go to that spot. You can go to any available spot that's open and put more gems out on the board. And then the 6 is very easy. It's a wild. I could move, or I could put scratch out on the board. If you roll a 6, you're always going to put it down because it just gives you the flexibility to do whatever you want. As the players go around the board, they're going to spin 1 die at a time, so the board may not look the way you want it to be when you're programming it. Let's shove all this aside, and let's take a look and see how the egg will work. So as you gain eggs from the board, you'll be able to put them out on these spaces to fill up your egg. Now, once I put a amber one there, they all have to be amber. Once I put a clear one there, they all have to be clear. And if you look here, you're going to have a breakdown of how many there are in the game, and how they will fill up the spaces on the board, how many points that they're worth, and negative points they're worth for empty spaces will all be programmed here. So you're filling this up the best that you can. Now the pink ones are imperfections. They can be placed in any place. Think of them as a wild, but they're going to be an imperfection and maybe worth some negative points later on, but they can help you fill up a spot so you can score those at the end of the game. So at the end of the game, you're going to score points based on ones that you complete. You're going to, any ones that you have left over that you couldn't place will be negative points, and then your imperfections will be worth negative 2 points at the end. So you want to be careful not filling these up with too many imperfections. Now there is a variant included that allows you to fight with other people. I'm not going to go into it too much, but it will allow you to steal gems from each other. This is probably the one I like better because I'm not really into take that, which are the personal powers. So everybody would get one of these at the beginning of the game. Once during the round, you may discard 1 unused grain not placed. May place 1 gem you eat this round as though it were an imperfection. Mark it with a forgery token. May move 1 additional space when spending a movement die. You are not required to eat gems in your space. You may choose which to eat because he's a picky eater. Can move over other chickens but cannot stop on them. So you have these that just kind of shake things up. I recommend using these if you want to. Are they perfectly balanced? I don't know. I assume so. But this is what I would add in. So that's how you play Gem Hens. Very easy little game about filling up this board and moving around as you simultaneously, in real time, roll your dice and place them on the spots. Who should buy this game? I mean, you're going to want like a light abstract. You don't mind some dice in the game. The theme is just wacko. It makes you be like, wow, this theme is so cool. That's why I want it. Fair enough. Fair enough, it's for you. But I think for the great majority of people, this is one of those themes you're just kind of scratching your head. You're like, what were they thinking? You know what? If you watch the flow of the game and you think this is for you and you want a light abstract, maybe you and your kids can enjoy this, maybe your family would enjoy this, knock yourself out. Nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with you liking a game that I don't like. This is just a game I didn't like. So it's going to be a purge for me.